Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. We are glad to have you. I'm tired starting out tonight. I just got to tell you that I am beat. I'm tired of winning. Trump said we were going to get tired of winning. I think I'm already there. Anyway, we're glad you're here. I am Doc Owen. I'm joined in the Hilltop Studios by...
I'm a Surefire.
And...
Uncle Bocce.
Full house, ready to go, rock and roll.
That's right.
We are all over the social media as Doc Owen Show, DocOwenshow. You can go out to our Facebook page and like us. You can follow us on Twitter. We're on Pinterest. We're on Instagram. We're on blah, blah, blah. And hopefully they're all tied together. We use the two aforementioned at the very beginning, the Facebook and Twitter predominantly. We also have a blog, DocOwenshow.com, that is growing in the number of posts, and that you can listen to the show there. If you don't catch the live broadcast, just go to DocOwenshow.com, look in the upper right-hand corner, and click on the show, and it'll play for you. That's called podcasting. Play-on-demand casting. It's not all that complicated. And right below that, you can sign up for our intermittent newsletter, we'll call it. We don't necessarily put something out to the Doc Owen Show insiders every week. We put it out as required, as necessary, when we think we got a special guest, things like that. So we're not going to pester you with a bunch of emails trying to sell you something. Our phone lines are open tonight. You are welcome to call and join the conversation. We do not have a pre-recorded guest, so the phone lines will be open the entire hour. It's at 210-843-8859. And I misspoke. It's not phone lines. It's phone line. So if you go to voicemail or I think you go to voicemail if you call and we're on the line with somebody. Just try to call us back or leave us a voicemail. We'll call you back. So it's 210-843-8859. We have a jam-packed show. I mean, I put things on a whiteboard so we can kind of map our way around, and I ran out of whiteboard. I had to write on the wall. So,
right on your hand
that's how much we've got going on tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
But before we dive into it, I need to tell you we also have apps for free apps. That's like no charge for both the iPhone and the Android. And guess how you find them? Bocce, how do you find them?
You go to the App Store.
And look for?
Either Google Play and you look for Doc Owen Show.
There you go. Same thing all the way around. Mm-hmm. So download those apps. You can listen to us at your leisure, and you also have access to the entire library. So if you're behind a little bit in terms of listening to the show, you can get caught up. And we would love to have you do that and spread the word. Forward it to your friends. We always start the show in a very traditional manner. I'm a Surefire gives us a moment of inspiration. Uncle Bocce hits us with this day in history. Then I close it out with a little leadership quote or two. So having said that, Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote comes from InsideOfTheDay.com. And it's from a lady by the name of Anais Nin. She was an essayist.
Okay. An American essayist?
I'm
Doesn't
not
say.
too sure.
Okay. How you spell her last name?
Nin. N-I-N.
Okay. Got it.
All I know is Anais. Anais used to be a perfume that was real popular back in the day. But I don't think she did that.
Okay. Well, that's
yep.
A little side note.
That is. So her quote is, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage.
Whew.
And I had picked that out in the morning before the events transpired within the day.
Gotcha.
Good for you.
Gotcha. But it comforted you throughout the day if you had a challenging day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good words. Good words.
Yeah.
Uncle Bocce?
Yes, sir.
What happened? I think I know, but what happened?
Today was a very lull day in history. However, it happens to be a birthday, so we give a shout out to TJ. TJ, my man TJ, Thomas Jefferson.
That's my
Today
alma
is
mater.
his birthday. So happy birthday, TJ. And I'm going to honor you by giving one of the quotes of Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
And it's a familiar one. Most of you will know it. When the people fear their government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty.
Yes.
Think about
Nice,
that,
nice.
you young people out there.
Yep.
Careful what you ask the government for.
Exactly.
Well, don't go there. Our audience, 54%, I forgot, last week we talked about the millennials and the survey of the millennials
Sure.
believe that the federal government is good.
Exactly.
The majority of them do. At least the ones that they surveyed. So that to me
Another quote comes to mind, but I'm not going to.
that's a scary fact. My quote tonight is actually from Colossians chapter 3:13.
Nice.
It is very, very simple, the quote. You must pay attention. Are you ready? Be even tempered. Boom.
Good.
It
good
goes on to
Nice.
say, be even tempered, quick to forgive an offense, forgive as quickly and completely as you have been forgiven.
There you go.
But the whole thing is about be even tempered. Don't overreact either way, I guess. You know,
I've got to talk to my older daughters about that.
that's just be even tempered. I practice this on a
Yeah.
daily basis. I'm so I'm so dull, even tempered. I
Doesn't
never
mean you're dull, but
I never go fly off the handle about anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
210
mum's the word.
843-8859. 210-843-8859. We are now going to work our way back in history a little bit. And I dare you to call when Uncle Bocce is speaking because it's always fun to see him.
I dare you to.
To try to get his back on his notes where he left off. 210-843-8859. Uncle Bocce, walk us through history. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Yes,
brother?
sir. Well, last week we talked about James Otis and Samuel Adams trying to identify some of the Boston Patriots.
Right.
And we got to John Adams, and I lost my notes.
Yeah,
So
because you had too many Sam Adams before you got to John
there
Adams.
you go. So here's a little bit about John Adams. He was a second cousin to Sam Adams, but he was no less a patriot. This is a man who was quite intelligent. He went to Harvard, got his law degree. He was a brilliant intellectual, a fervent patriot. He was opinionated, and he was a blunt speaking man of independent mind. Okay? Who today would be
Revered.
Well, we won't well, think about it.
I'm
Okay.
thinking.
So Adams, he became a critic of Great Britain's authority in colonial America and viewed the British imposition of high taxes, tariffs, as a tool of oppression. He no longer believed that the government in England had the colonists' best interest in mind. And this reminds me of the last, 8, 10, 12 years? Because I know I reached a point where I believe that the government in Washington did not have our best interests in mind. So, nothing new under the sun.
It's been that way since 1960.
That's where it goes. He was a critic of the Stamp Act, which we talked about. And we are going to talk about the Townsend Acts, which Adams also spoke out loudly against. His early fame as a defense attorney for the British soldiers. This was at the Boston Massacre. This shows you the man's dedication to his profession, which was a lawyer. Everyone, no matter who it was, deserved representation.
It's exactly. That statement is exactly the reason I didn't go to law school.
There you go. There you go.
Just couldn't see myself doing it.
So John and Samuel Adams represented, according to folks who lived then, the radical wing of the Second Continental Congress that demanded a taking up of arms against Britain. John Adams was also a member of a committee of 5 who authored or drafted the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
There's a neat story about John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, but I won't get into that right now, about that very topic. And John Adams passed the buck over to Thomas Jefferson.
So it was the original Smothers Brothers Act.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Okay.
So that's the man, John Adams. Now we're going to take a look at John Hancock real quickly. We know John Hancock mostly because of his huge signature,
Right.
on the
Right.
Declaration of Independence, the first and the biggest. He was also a Bostonian.
Well, I mean, till this day, I would think there are still some people to say, put your John Hancock right here.
Exactly.
That's right. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
John Hancock was an American merchant, statesman, and prominent patriot of the American Revolution. Hancock earned the ire of the British officials as a major smuggler. Remember, the Stamp Act and all these different things caused the colonists to do what they needed to do to get what they needed to get. So a lot of them became smugglers, and John Hancock was one of them, defying the British.
Okay, by the British definition, he was a smuggler.
Yes.
By the American definition, he was a patriot.
That's exactly. Thank you.
Right?
That boy, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm trying to learn.
Okay.
Jeez.
The seizure of one of his ships brought a response from Bostonians that led directly to the British occupation of 1768. When they took his ship, seized his ship, I think the name of the ship was a sloop. I think it was called Liberty. And they took that, and the people of Boston didn't sit down.
They were not happy about
They were
that.
not happy about that. Later, Hancock and Samuel Adams, they were the 2 agitators whose arrest was ordered by General Gage, a Brit,
Right.
after the battles of Lexington and Concord.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so these guys were
Leaders.
leaders.
Yeah.
And so they were getting the brunt of whatever Britain wanted to do. He was a man of great wealth, John Hancock, even though he's not known for really a whole lot.
They were the Dinesh D'Souza of their day.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. He had much to lose by resisting Britain. Nevertheless, he did not bend. And he was very, very wealthy.
Hancock.
Very
John
wealthy.
Hancock.
Yeah,
Well,
very
sure
wealthy.
he was a smuggler. I mean,
Yeah.
patriot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then finally we have Paul Revere. Paul Revere was different than the other guys. He didn't come from the same social class as some of the aforementioned patriots.
Really?
He was a silversmith. He was a man of humble means, but his attitudes about Britain were anything but humble.
Right.
His famous midnight ride that warned the advancing British troops was only one of his revolutionary actions.
Right.
Everybody remembers him for the Paul Revere ride, and he wasn't the only one who rode then. There was another gentleman, I forget what his name was, but anyway, he's also Bostonian. He was also an illustrator whose image of the Boston Massacre became iconic. And when you say illustrator, he was an illustrator in engravement.
Right. That's how
On metals.
Right, that's how they did it.
On metal, yeah.
Right.
Okay? And here's what Paul Revere said
they
of
etched
that.
it with a real sharp sort of penknife sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
something
did.
like that. Okay, so here's what Revere had to say about his famous ride. I set off. It was then about 11 o'clock. The moon shone bright. I had got almost over Charleston Common toward Cambridge when I saw 2 officers on horseback standing under the shade of a tree in a narrow part of the road. I was near enough to see their holsters and cockades or cockades or whatever you want to call them, which represents the band around the hat that gave you,
Yeah. It made
what
sure
level you were at. So
well,
that's
that's how we spotted the target.
Yeah. Okay. One of them started his horse towards me, the other up the road, as I supposed, to head me or head him off.
Right.
Should I escape? The first. Okay. So if the first guy didn't get him, he figured the second guy was going to.
Right.
I turned my horse short about and rode upon a full gallop for Mystic Road. He followed me about 300 yards, and finding he could not match my horse,
Right.
he just returned to where he was. I proceeded to Lexington through Mystic and alarmed Mr. Adams and Colonel Hancock, who were at the church hiding from the British.
Okay.
And what's funny about that is that as soon as Revere got there and made the announcement, the whole church, including the preacher, got out of the church and were ready to fight.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so interesting thing. So not only did Paul Revere take a midnight ride, he was also a silversmith and an artist, as we said. His most famous engraving is the one of the Boston Massacre. It was used by patriots throughout the colonies as revolutionary propaganda.
Right.
So the man made his contribution. Now, next week we're going to look at the Townsend Acts.
Okay.
And we'll continue on there on our road to revolution.
Which was a major straw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leading up to, break. Right.
Yeah, there's that and the Boston Massacre, and we're coming. So, people, you didn't call while I was speaking. I'm disappointed. 210-843-8859. Call us. You can reach me at Uncle Bocce, UNCLEBACI, at DocOwenShow.com. Keep those letters coming.
Thank you, sir. Good job. Good job. Okay, the title of tonight's show is Bombs Away, followed by a big rut row. I'm gonna challenge Bocce and Ima as well as the audience on several events.
Rut row.
I got a call earlier this week, Tuesday to be exact, and it was stated by the caller, a fellow that listens to the show regularly, that the bombs the bombs on Syria, the bombing of that airport in Syria, took place Thursday, right after the show. So it's like I missed the news or what. So you know how upset I get about that. So I immediately called Mad Dog and say, dude, I'm on the air tonight. I need some material. So
There you go.
there you go. Moab appeared. And Bocce asked me, before we started the show, because I had Moab up on the board. Did I ever tell you what it stands for?
No, sir, you did not.
Okay, it's hashtag Moab. And that's one of the hottest, one of the top 10 hashtags on Twitter right now. Is hashtag or £, for those of you, MOAB, right?
Okay.
Mother of all bombs. 20.
Okay.
That's we dropped, unannounced, I might add, 21,000 pounds of explosive. In a bump, it's called a bunker buster bomb. So it doesn't just hit the ground and explode; it drills into the ground. It accelerates right before it gets there and goes into the ground to take care of underground facilities. That was the objective of that bomb: was an underground ISIS facility in Afghanistan. Okay. It probably went off just about the time Putin and Tillerson sat down to have a chat. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, Putin, if you're not familiar, is I don't know what his title is, but he's the Donald Trump of Russia.
That's right.
All right. And Rex Tillerson is the new Secretary of State, right? And so, follow me. We're trying to connect dots here and see results. I mean, we have already had more response to foreign bad actors in less than 100 days out of this president than we saw in 8 years out of the previous one.
That's right.
All right.
And those underground tunnels have been there all along.
Of course they have. And we knew where they were.
Yeah, we knew where they were.
This is not new intelligence.
Exactly.
We are acting on old intelligence. As a matter of fact, the bombs are so old, they may have been surprised that they detonated. They had to blow the dust. Oh, these things are big. Holy mackerel. If you went out and looked at any videos or anything, I questioned how they dropped the bombs, and there's a thing called a C-130, which is a big,
troop
huge.
carrier.
Well, it's not just a troop carrier.
No,
it
No,
carries
it holds a
tanks
lot
and
of
equipment.
stuff.
Oh, okay.
All that kind of jazz.
Huge.
So that's literally what they did was they had it on a big C-130, and the tail end opens up, and a parachute opens and drags this sled out the back of the C-130, and as it comes out the back, it kind of drops down because it's heavy, and there goes the bomb, which on some occasions would be a tank or ammunitions or things like that would also have a parachute and float to ground wherever they wanted it. But the Moab did not have a parachute on it. So, but my rut row comment in the beginning is, this is a pretty tough strategy for them to be following.
Yes, it is.
I mean, this is pretty tough. He's had the head of China down in Florida over the weekend.
Right.
All right. Whom he told about the Syrian attack right after dinner. Mm-hmm. It had already gone on. He kept it to himself. And then he said, oh, by the way, in case you get back to the room and start watching television, I need to tell you something. So, all right, that went on at that time. And their discussion was about this little nitwit Kim Jong-un in North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't. I hope that he doesn't listen to the show. But he said that he was going to, because I don't want to aggravate him. He's going to bomb the United States. He's going to drop nuclear bombs on the United States if we aggravate him.
How would he know? He doesn't have internet.
Does he mean his gas?
What'd she say?
What? Wait a minute. Boing.
Oh, does he need his?
Because that's what I'm thinking.
The
title of the show was correct.
I'm so surprised.
Bombs away, rut-row. You never know what's going to happen. So Kim Jong-un, but now the Chinese, after the conversation with Trump, our master negotiator, the Chinese have agreed to try to put North Korea in their place. Mm-hmm. One of the first things they did, you may not be aware, was they turned around a big boat full of coal and told North Korea, we're no longer buying your coal. We're getting it from the United States.
What?
Yeah. So they're buying coal from us. They turned around this big-ass tanker and sent it back to North Korea. Said, no.
I did not know that.
We just struck a deal with the U.S., and that's where we're going to get our coal. So, I mean, there are things happening that you really hope. I mean, we're so beat up after so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That I, for one, am kind of scared to go hip, hip, hooray. And besides, my quote says, be even tempered. So I got to do that. I got to do that.
Kind of low key.
Yeah, kind of low key. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, there's stuff that's happening. So North Korea and China at the same time has put 150,000 troops on their southern border, which is the northern border of North Korea. So with 150,000 troops running across the border, they've kind of told North Korea, if you got to run somewhere, you ain't coming through here. It's not like, I don't think that they're posturing to attack. They're posturing to protect.
Contain. Oh, yeah.
Contain.
Yeah.
That's even a better term. Right. Yeah. So, now Kim Jong-un is sitting there and he's going, well, wait a minute. I mean, this in the last 48 to 70, since April the 7th is when they did the bomb on Syria. Today's the 13th. So within a week, we've reacted to the chemical warfare attack in Syria and found an ISIS stronghold in Afghanistan and gone after both of them. I mean, just there's no discussing it. Boom. We feel like the federal government felt like they had the proof, and they acted on it.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm sure that Kim Jong-un is sitting there going, wait a minute, I may need to rethink my options or whatever. And at the same time, they kind of broke this little story about SEAL Team 6 being down in South Korea training for a assassination attempt. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, they put those little...
That would be interesting. How would they get in? That's such a tight border.
They're SEAL Team 6.
Yeah, you're right.
They'll
come from underground, a cave, from the ocean into the...
They're already in.
Yeah.
They're there. They're having tea and crumpets across the street from the palace.
Wow.
Right as we speak.
The quote that I gave tonight from Thomas Jefferson. This is who should fear our government, our enemies. They should fear us. And this is a step in that direction, in my humble opinion.
I agree with that they should fear us. I unfortunately don't feel the same enthusiasm for the way we're having to go about it.
Well, yeah.
I really don't.
It's a shame, but what's the alternative? Obama?
And at the same time, I would much prefer to see us draining the swamp than breaking holes in the sand.
True.
I understand where they're coming from. I get it. But still, that we have an awful lot of work to do at home. And Trump has been delivering that message that, look, we don't have time to mess with this chemical thing in Syria. We really don't have. That's why he dropped. That's why he's doing what he's doing, is because we don't have time for it. We got things we need to fix at home. So basically, he has told Russia to get Syria under control, and he's told China to get North Korea under control.
Yay.
Because we need to work at home, and if you don't, we will. But we prefer that you do it. Those are your countries to manage, so to speak, on the global stage.
Yeah. Didn't he
because of geographic proximity?
Right.
Nothing else.
Right. Didn't he also send in 2 carrier fleets into the South China Sea or the Japan Sea,
heading up towards North Korea?
Yes. To show strength and show our friends that we are going to be there for them. Yeah,
and to show, and our friends may well be China and Russia. I mean, there's nothing to say that we have to go to war with them.
No.
We would prefer not to. But just like everything else that Donald Trump, the businessman, says, you got to do your fair share. And when it comes to containing global terrorism, and when it comes to containing global nuclear threats, loose cannons who don't know how to be even-tempered, having a nuclear weapon, we need to do that. And we take a leadership role, but we shouldn't have to do it ourselves. Russia should want to do it. China should want to do it. We're the 3 countries in the world right now with the greatest to lose. If somebody, goes rut-row, I hit the wrong button. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I get it, but I sort of had to, I wanted everybody to talk it through. I wanted the audience, especially our young audience, to think about the reason that we did it was not to start a world war like you're hearing, in the media and, oh my God, blah, blah, we need to go build nuclear fallout shelters underneath our houses like we did back in the 50s. Right?
Yep.
It was I perceive that they were both very strategic moves, shots, if you will. Not just in terms of who they hit and where, but when they did it. In other words, it all fit together like it was some kind of a plan, which also bothers me because we may have been the ones that set off the gas. But now it looks like there is enough evidence that it truly was Assad. So they've supposedly intercepted some emails, intercepted this and intercepted that. So, you know, we'll see how that shakes out. But the point is, I'm less concerned about World War III. I am concerned about being able to sustain, you know, what we've done. And then you come around and you turn it back to the house, back to the United States. And what do we got? What do we got? Now I'm working real hard to be even tempered. The United States Congress, the rhinos in Congress, have partnered with the Democrats to not fund the border wall as a part of...
Come on, did they really?
Yes, they took it out of the budget. The budget's a little tight.
Congress, you're a bunch of pee holes.
3 words for the day.
I know.
Tempered.
Be even tempered.
So
maybe that's where they should have put Moab.
well, but that's what I'm saying.
No,
if all of this stuff is done strategically and it's effective,
Yeah.
and puts somebody else in charge of the two hottest areas in the world, Syria, the Middle East, let's call it that, and North Korea, then we can focus on, you know, Mr. Trump can focus on the United States and doing what he has to do to drain the swamp, because he hadn't even started doing that. You know, they are just constantly hacking away at him. All right. And this actually, he you know, he's bought himself some time with the mainstream media. I mean, he's not, they've forgotten all the rest of that. All right. So looking at the big picture and trying to kind of we may stand alone thinking that there's not going to be World War III, because there's an awful lot that I read on the internet from very intelligent, well-connected alt-right news channels that disagree, that think that this is all a build-up to, and Russia's not going to put up with it, and China's not going to put up with it. So it may be a ruh-roh, but we all need to think about that. Is how serious are we? You know what I'm saying? And will they test us to see how serious we are?
I can see them testing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're just going to continue testing because they've been testing us for a long time.
Well, testing leads to escalation.
It sure can.
So,
unless you draw a line in the sand and put the punctuation point after it, like Moab.
We've pretty much already done that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know.
So,
Gee.
and then there's Cuba. Have you heard what's going on in Cuba?
Yeah.
Not recently, no.
Because they're like, they used to always be the uncontrollable source at our back door, like Syria is to Russia and like North Korea is to China. Ours was Cuba, right? Well, they have been shopping on Amazon, eBay, and every store in South Florida. The Cubans said they're all buying paddles. They're going to paddle their
The whole island
further away from the United States. We have scared the daylights out of them.
Now, is this true or no? I know
true.
it's just
there's a couple of congressmen. There's a couple of congressmen that might think it's true if they heard it.
Yeah.
The same guy's worried about building an airbase on one end because it might sink that into the island,
Right.
and throw the other one
Guam,
further up in the air. Was that Guam they were talking about?
yeah.
What a nutcase. Okay, so that's kind of the international view. I mean, those are the real highlights of what's going on in the world. And don't be overly fearful, but also pay attention. It's not necessarily a panacea. It's a strategy. And if you know what that means, you know that strategies can backfire and do need to be adjusted from time to time. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sanctuary cities. Favorite topic. Mm-hmm. Here's an article that says the data is in. Sanctuary cities have higher crime rates. Period.
No kidding.
Well, but it was always an argument that wasn't true.
Yeah, right.
And now we have documents. The researchers examined 54 cities in 19 states, plus the District of Columbia. Cities listed by the National Immigration Law Center that implemented sanctuary ordinances post 9/11 during or after 2002. Using city-level crime data compiled by the FBI, they assessed crime rates at the city level immediately following the implementation of a sanctuary policy. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they declared themselves a sanctuary city. They could be like San Antonio. This city government never declared itself a sanctuary city, and yet the police force, the San Antonio police force, wrote into their policy manuals sanctuary city policies, right? Word for word from the National Police Officers Association. Bunch of dumb.
That's probably why I've heard that crime has gone up 52% in San Antonio
this
past year.
Yeah, it sure has.
No, one has nothing to do with the other. It has.
You don't think so?
No, we interviewed McManus, and he said there's no connection whatsoever. So we got it straight from the horse's mouth. That we do not know what we're talking about.
Horse's mouth?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe the
Thought
other
of something
end.
else.
It's probably the other end. I got you.
You're still with the bombs tonight. What
I'm
is it with
telling
you,
you.
Ima?
Well, I did have Mexican food at lunch,
Oh, okay.
Bad Mexican food, probably.
Probably so. Yeah.
Okay. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to give the numbers. Let's just know that there is a very competent, qualified survey out there using actual FBI data to show the increase in crime in sanctuary cities across the country. And yet, there are people fighting the ability to write a law that says no sanctuary cities. Texas is Greg Abbott. We've got the best and the brightest and the strongest out there trying to eliminate sanctuary cities. And these bleeding heart liberals absolutely refuse. And it's not just them. It's not, let's really place the blame where it belongs. It's also business. It's also big business hiring cheap labor with no benefits. Right? I mean, it really is. Now, I don't know where you're going to buy groceries in San Antonio except at H-E-B, because we don't shop at Target anymore.
No,
and H-E-B, the 98.5% of the grocery stores in San Antonio are owned and operated by H-E-B, and they put tons of money into supporting sanctuary city activities. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some things that it's very, very difficult to fight. But that's what we're up against. And I got to believe that San Antonio is not the only one where some of these other sanctuary cities probably have a predominant major employer who supports illegal aliens.
We probably got one 3 hours east of us, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the one.
I hadn't thought about the business aspect of sanctuary cities.
Really?
Where I get stuck is other than that, now I'm enlightened about that business part. But other than that, what are they think? What are these people thinking? You can't have something that eliminates the rule of law.
Well,
to have a civil society. I mean,
Right,
you
to
just
get their
can't.
bottom line.
I'm trying to
I
be
know.
even-tempered.
You're trying to be
What about
even-tempered.
the families? What about the little
Yeah,
children?
exactly.
You know, what about,
And
they've
the
been here for
businesses looking for
they've
their
been here
bottom
for
line.
generations.
Exactly.
You're
They're-
going to split up a grandma and a 4-year-old
There you
just
go.
because they never got time to go get papers? I can't believe that.
That is the same thing as somebody putting their armaments and their soldiers inside of hospitals and inside of schools. It's the same mentality, in my opinion.
Very close.
Hmm.
Very,
It really
very close.
is.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, fight fair. May I move on?
You may.
Or
Go
saying-
ahead.
Okay, good. Judge,
It's your show.
this
Asking me.
the judge rules against discriminatory Texas voter ID law.
What judge?
Oh, you won't believe this. This will get you going just when I tell you the judge's name.
An Obama appointee.
Well, I don't know about that. It's a federal judge. Let's see if I
What
can.
district court?
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, voter ID ruling came from United States District Judge Nelva Gonzalez Ramos. The same judge who ruled against the ID law 2 years ago. An appeals court kicked the case back down to her last year after finding problems with her reasoning. Ramos reviewed the case again, only to stand by her original ruling, which compared the law to the poll taxes of the Jim Crow South. Folks, ask yourself this. Ask yourself this. What can you do that is of any consequence whatsoever, and sometimes to no consequence, but you still must produce a valid picture ID? Think about that.
Yeah. I just don't see their objection.
I mean, think about it's not, I see their objection,
Yeah.
but that's too bad. I really don't,
Yeah.
if you don't have enough sense or
Common sense.
common sense or gumption or attitude or energy or whatever you want to call it, to get off of your lazy butt and go down and get yourself a picture ID,
Yeah, it's easy.
then I don't want you screwing up helping to elect my officials. I mean, I'm not quite as bad as it was back in the 60s when LBJ. We used to have you used to have to take a literacy test to get your ID. And
That
they
was
said, well,
wrong.
that was, huh?
Yeah, right. That was wrong.
Why was that wrong? Why, I mean, seriously, why was that wrong? You want somebody voting who
It's
can't
a-
read the ballot?
Yeah, but it's impeding the right of a citizen
If-
to do his duty to vote.
No. Okay.
And it
The
should be
same
based on
citizen,
intelligence.
the same citizen. It's not based on intelligence. It's based on simple first grade reading.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't an intelligence test. It's a literacy test.
okay.
Can you read English? Can you read a McDonald's menu? No. You can't vote.
That's right, because you don't know what you're voting for.
I mean,
That's
unless
what they tell you
unless
to vote.
exactly somebody tells you order number 3.
That's right, because that's the one with big
Or look
vibes.
for the D beside the name, and that's the one.
Vote for the third one down.
Yeah, that's what they have to do because they probably don't recognize a D.
That's true.
That's why I made it a number.
Good.
So, but the point is, I mean, to not have voter ID nationwide as part of your opportunity to vote, I do not understand.
Right.
I mean, I get more fired up about that than I do a lot of things, and it's just, to me, it's just like you. It's simple logic, and then but they throw all of this garbage in your face about, it's just too hard on old people, and it's too hard. Nowadays, it is not. The same van that picks you up to go vote without an ID can pick you up to go get an ID
That's right.
in plenty of time to vote. But they don't want to.
They want to keep them down on the farm.
There's still people in this world that I work with that don't vote because they don't want to be called for jury duty.
Oh,
I've heard
of
that a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard a lot about that.
That's stupidity.
There are easier ways than that to get out of being on a jury.
But
anyway,
Yeah.
it was stricken down again. Same judge. Now it's going to get appealed. It's going to go back up. You know, it's like, what are we doing? Why are we even doing it? Just I don't know why we don't just do it. Mm-hmm. Sue me.
Too many obstacles.
Okay, so how up to date is everybody in the audience? 210-843-8859. You better hurry. We're going to cut it off. So are up to date on the deep state and what's going on in terms of draining the swamp. We might have had a breakthrough. Are you aware of that? A lady in Hillary Clinton's State Department.
Ah.
You aware of that?
No.
There's a lady in Hillary Clinton's State Department. I'm not going to look the name up because you're probably not going to meet her anyway. But who got arrested, they have evidence where she was taking money, an apartment, free education, all sorts of things from Chinese
Officials?
bad people.
Bad. Oh.
Yeah, buying services and buying information from the State Department. And of course, brilliant, dedicated, patriotic servant that she is, immediately fingered Hillary Clinton.
Really?
Yes. Threw her right under the bus. This is like an assistant deputy something. You know, this is not somebody down. This is somebody relatively high up.
I'm sure that's something they didn't count on happening.
I'm sure they didn't count on it either. And I'm sure she's well aware that her... Well, nope, they're going past. Okay, good.
I heard the siren.
I thought they were coming for us. Oh, are they in the driveway? Oh, there's more than one. Oh, it's a fire truck.
Whew, that was close.
Told you we got to be even tempered.
That's right. They must have seen smoke coming out of your head.
Setting off the neighborhood. There's a couple of issues that I wouldn't doubt it at all.
The smoke's coming out of the hilltop.
Yeah. So we shouldn't make fun. One of our neighbors is obviously having a hard time. We'll check it out after a while.
Oh, shoot.
Well, where were we before the fire trucks went by?
The lady who fingered.
Oh yeah, and so she's got, you know, they may have a passage into this whole deep state thing, at least in terms of where the State Department is concerned. If you don't understand the term deep state, if you're, you know, new to the show or haven't been seeing it anywhere else, what they're talking about is people within the government who are still dedicated to the previous administration and doing their best to undermine the existing new administration through leaks, through subversive maneuvers, through bad information, through a lot of different things.
And
it's coming out all over because of what they did on their way out the door.
And
what
Obama
did.
That was the strategy of the Democrat Party.
Oh, totally.
To do that, right? Okay.
Oh, totally.
Just wanted to make sure people understood that was by plan.
Oh yeah, it was the plan of the National Democratic Party was to undermine Trump by gathering as much information as they possibly could and spreading it as far and wide as they possibly could before Trump got in, and then let it sort of filter out after he got there. Oh yeah, that is a documented fact. According to the Democratic National Committee, it's documented by the Russian breach on their servers. Did you also see where Seth, what was his last name? Seth Hill or Seth something? Seth. That the young DNC, Democratic National Committee database analyst that was murdered in Washington, D.C., and they declared, he was like in his mid-20s, and they declared it a robbery.
Suicide. Oh.
No, they declared it a robbery, but we don't know what he was robbed of because he had his phone, he had his keys, he had his wallet, he had everything on him when they found him, but it was still a robbery. His watch, nothing was taken, but they declared it a robbery in D.C., okay? Well, it has now been verified that he was the leak to WikiLeaks. To help clean up his murder, they have toned up to the fact that he was the bug that gave the jump drive with all the stuff on it to WikiLeaks.
Wow, that's
And
big.
and probably got killed on the way home.
That's big.
That's really big. So at least, for his family or whatever, they're going to get closure. But there's now, that's why there's more stuff coming out of WikiLeaks, and the government is trying to shut it down. The government is trying not shut down WikiLeaks, but shut down our willingness to believe it by telling us it's doing a disservice, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this thing, it is really, really, connecting the dots to me has never been more challenging.
No, absolutely.
This
is a big deal.
This is the whole thing is a big deal, and we keep saying, well, Trump's, he broke it wide open, and to say that, knowing that when he got elected that it was just the beginning. We're about 100 days in. We're not even 100 days in, and if this is just the beginning, I for one am going to be worn out because I try to figure things out like this, and I simply cannot. My head hurts trying to connect the dots. Other than Cuba buying paddles to swim further out into the ocean, that dot I get.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, it's tough. Even though you've got all the information, you're getting alternative views, both of which are plausible. So down which channel do you go down? You know what I'm saying? It's tough. It's not
sure
easy.
is.
Unplug the phone. I'm tired of these people calling all the time.
I tell you, I can't keep track.
Too many calls, folks.
Okay.
Please slow down.
I
We
can't
just-
keep track. Oh.
We just saved ourselves $7.95 a month.
There you go. Another Starbucks coffee.
So stay awake, stay abreast of what's going on. Don't just look at one side. Don't just look at the internet side, and don't just look at the mainstream media side. I wouldn't look at mainstream media at all.
Yeah,
Because
do I.
I'm fairly certain that that's not true, but you're still getting differences of opinion and differences of facts out of real alt-right media, like Paul Craig Roberts that I read, or the Common Sense Show with David Hodges, and these guys are connected. I mean, these guys have been around for a long time, and the Breitbart News, and the WikiLeaks, and these guys, these big boys that are playing, they're still not necessarily reading the tea leaves exactly the same way. They might be reading the same tea leaves, and that's the good news. But how they're interpreting them, one side's going to World War III, and the other side is going down the strategic moves to get them to take care of what's in their backyard. It's pretty interesting, and it's very challenging. So,
Yeah.
I can see that,
all I
yeah.
can tell you is stay tuned. Spread the word about the Doc Owen Show. We are at 4,950 plus Twitter followers.
Wow.
We are on a hard charge to get to 5,000.
Yeah.
So please follow us. Tell your friends to follow us. Retweet our stuff. Get us out there on Twitter. That we live to do that. We want 5,000 followers now. Rut-row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.